あんた、めちゃくちゃ美しいな。
この人、やばい。
A girl known as a prince walks a familiar high school hall, but when someone finally sees her as herself, everything changes. This is in the Clear Moonlit Dusk, the Shoujo Rom-com manga that is receiving an anime scheduled to premiere on January 11, 2026, produced by East Fish Studio with Yusuke Maruyama directing. The story follows Yoi, who has always been admired and misunderstood. Her tall stature, deep voice, and composed demeanor causes classmates to mistake her for a boy and label her as a prince. This social perception defines her high school life until she meets senior Koako, another student similarly dubbed a prince. When Koako regards Yui not for her exterior, but as a girl in her own right, she finds herself grappling with emotions she's never explored before. In the Clear Moonlit Dusk, at a glance is almost cliche. A beautiful, cool girl mistaken for a boy, a charming male lead with a reputation, a school that mythologizes both of them as princes. And well, sorry to break your bubble, but this is indeed just that. A modern romantic shoujo that does what every other shoujo has been doing forever. Just more cool looking. What the series presents as a hook is not a structural deviation from the genre, but a repackaging of tropes that we've all seen. The misread girl archetype has appeared repeatedly in shoujo, often using to generate soft identity conflict without requiring meaningful social disruption. Similarly, Koaku's role as someone who sees the heroine differently from everyone else and becomes the primary source of romantic validation is one of the most stable pillars of the genre. Despite its subdued tone and polished presentation, the series ultimately does what most shoujo romances have always done. It centers emotional development around recognition through romantic attention, progresses at a deliberately slow pace, and avoids external conflict in favor of internalized hesitation with no meaningful inversion of roles, no challenge to the genre's assumptions, and no attempt to destabilize its power dynamics. This is a story that moves towards a predictable romantic outcome with minimal resistance or surprise, and if you like that, then let's move on. The series revolves around the two princes of the school, starting with Yui, often called the prince because of her high, deep voice and cool, boyish looks. The tragedy of Yui's character is that she has internalized this label to the point of suppressing her own femininity to meet expectations. She isn't trying to be a boy, she has simply accepted that the world sees her that way, which changes when she meets Koaku, the other handsome and erratic prince. Unlike Yui, who is stoic and polite, Koaku is chaotic. He enters the story not to challenge a title but to dismantle the wall she has built around herself. The plot progression is minimal and linear. Most chapters advance the story through small interpersonal developments rather than decisive actions or turning points, making the drama minimal by design, but definitely there. The series avoids loud emotional conflicts but does have romantic rivals and third-party interest, but they do not redirect the overall plot or significantly alter its trajectory from what it is. That is, to facilitate character interaction, which is good, and to add to that is the fact that both Yui and Koaku are surprisingly blunt with each other, which keeps the emotional stakes grounded in reality rather than manufactured drama. The romance follows a classic shoujo structure, a reserved female lead and a more assertive male lead whose attention becomes the primary catalyst for emotional change. Koaku's interest in Yui is immediate and sustained, while Yui's response is hesitant and internally conflicted. As a result, the romance feels realistic, calm, but structurally safe and most of all wholesome. The best part of the series is the artwork, which is definitely stunning and does an excellent job of making the characters feel like the princes they are. The main idea behind the series is the portrayal of how positive labels can be just as isolating as negative ones, with Yui admired by her female peers, but that admiration acting as a barrier. When Koaku calls her beautiful instead of cool or handsome, it creates a shift in her self-perception, and it is the first time someone looks past the prince mask to see the girl underneath. Coming to what looks promising. One of the strongest positives is that this is not just a story that requires spectacle. The series relies on mood, pauses, facial expressions, and emotional subtext rather than plot mechanics. Sure, the set plot mechanics might be predictable, but couple that with the wholesome romantic vibes, then you're in the front line to success. The director Yusuke with assistant experience or Licorice Recoil gives more confidence to the anime, and to once again mention is the amazing character designs. They just don't look pretty, but they look fashionable and modern, which is enough to bring in its own set of audience. But the animating studio East Fish Studio does not yet have a widely acknowledged portfolio of completed high-profile TV anime, and their previous work like A Condition Called Love, was criticized for inconsistent animation, so this is definitely a concern to be aware of. Also, for viewers used to fast-paced rom-coms like Kaguya-sama, the pacing in the Clear Moonlit Dusk can feel agonizing, as it focuses on the internal shift of feelings rather than external plot points. I don't think In the Clear Moonlit Dusk will perform solidly within the shoujo romance niche. Latte is a mid-tier adaptation that is well received by fans with a solid 7 to 7.5 Mal score, maybe even better. If you enjoy slow, low-conflict romance and character-focused storytelling over plot-driven drama, if you also enjoy traditional shoujo anime, especially those who prefer subtle emotional shares, quiet conversations in a calm school life setting, and if you enjoy animes like a sign of affection, Insomniacs After School, then this might be your anime.